Till now, we have discussed the conceptual aspects of globalization, liberalization and privatization, plus how they are getting unveiled or what are the beginnings in the Indian context, how the central government is helping the globalization to get unveiled in this country. So now, after that we have discussed a bit about how Chandrababu Naidu in United Andhra Pradesh was willingly, very ambitiously or very enthusiastically implemented all the reforms in Andhra Pradesh, thus affecting Telangana too. So now, what are the things happening under this LPG? Like AP Economic Restructuring Project. Remember this word APARP. This APARP is nothing but this is a concise project under which the reforms are being taken place. Reforms, I am talking about reform. Reform, when you hear a word reform, like social reform, it sounds good. But when it is economic reform, it sounds good for some people, sounds bad for some people. Bad for the sufferers, victims, or the people who are at the receiving end of these economic reforms. Reform is a word with both connotations. Economic reforms in most cases we see are happening at the cost of the people. AP Economic Restructuring Project is the project unveiled by the state government. That is, project cost is around 3,300 crores as the basic cost. Later, lots of crores of money is being pumped into the state by the World Bank as loan. We are into debt rat, we will discuss it later. But World Bank share is 2,200 crores in this 3,300 crores. And this share, 2,200 crores will be given by World Bank, rest should be supplemented by central and state government. This is the basic thing. The period they are starting is this, the conditions should be fulfilled which are laid by World Bank. Then only we can have this thing. That is, the period which we are talking is 1999 to 2004 is the major period of APERP, restructuring project. So, under APERP, there are 6 sectors which are being reformed. One is district primary education. Second is primary health. Third is integrated child development. Fourth, rural roads upgrading and maintenance. Fifth, irrigation rehabilitation. Sixth, public enterprise reforms. You see, district primary education, it is not education as a whole. They are focusing on primary education, not even secondary education. Basic thing is primary education, under which you can see the growth of many. During this reform period only, we have got this 𝗧-𝗦𝗔𝗧 𝗚𝗃𝗃. 𝗧-𝗦𝗃𝗃 Abhiyan, that is World Bank project actually. So, 𝗧-𝗦𝗃𝗃 Abhiyan is presently Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. They have changed the name. Previously, there used to be 𝗧-𝗦𝗃𝗃 Abhiyan and Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, RMSA. Now, both are merged and it is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Remember this for your competitive examinations. So, reforms under district education, it is aimed at primary education. Why primary education? We will talk in detail when I am talking about the changes happening in education sector. Then health. So, all these things we can see, these are the core sectors. So, what was the effects of conditions on World Bank on AP? What are the things? See, 1990-95, these are the statistics. Remember, whatever you can remember, you should remember for your mains. Between 1990-1995, the burden of interest on state's domestic product was 12.1%. Means 12.1% was the share for loans. Interest for loans. You have to pay 12.1%. But between 1995 and 2000, it has increased to 16.9% you are paying for interest. Debt to any international institution is very bad for many countries. See, what will happen, once you are into the debt trap, you are forced to take loans to pay the interest too. Like any landlord and the bonded labor. This is a tragedy. But many countries are into debt trap because of these things during this period, structural reforms period or World Bank period. So, in 1998, the total unemployed were 31 lakhs in the state, and deficit rose from 3.2 to 5.5 deficit, budget deficit. You can see what these restructuring programs are telling. We are going to reform your economy, but instead you can see that is a reversal of the economy. Deficit is rising, interests are rising, and unemployment is on rise. And who is gaining in this? Loan component, if you see, 1990-91, the loan component was 48 crores. 93-94, it is 626. 96-97, it is 936. This is 97, it is 936. Come to modern period, most of the states have thousands of crores or sometimes lakhs of crores as loans. Piling up of loans because of the World Bank policies, you can see. So, the first thing the globalization or these reforms are doing is, they are trying to reform the sectors by completely restructuring the sector. Means they want to bring in the whole change in the structure. So, they are appointing committees to look into the changes, to suggest the changes. So, in that sector, first one is power. World Bank has attached utmost important in power structure. Why? Because power is a consumable good. If you consume 1 unit of power, you have to regenerate. You can't save it or you can't recycle it. Power is always a growing sector. There is huge money in power sector. That is why World Bank has focused on power sector, and one committee was appointed in Andhra Pradesh, that is 𝗳𝗏𝗃 committee. 𝗳𝗏𝗃, it is not 𝗳𝗏𝗃. Many books are writing 𝗳𝗏𝗃 committee. It is not 𝗳𝗏𝗃, it is 𝗳𝗏𝗃 committee. 𝗳𝗏𝗃 committee has suggested reforms. It gave the report in June 1995. The suggested reforms, like the tariff should be fixed to cover the production. Means how much is being spent for the production should be paid. Means what? Those who cannot pay cannot buy the tariff. Means no subsidies. Who will be at loss? The poor will be at loss. So, this is a broad understanding. Subsidies will come during the elections, it's a different story. And again that will be SAT, it's a different story. But here, the production and tariff should be in consonance. They should be same. Means if you can pay, you get power. That's what I said before. No free lunch, no subsidy. That will happen. Separate generation and transmission distribution agencies. Before this, it was APSEB, AP State Electricity Board. Now, APSEB will be a regulatory body like thing to all these things. But they wanted this generation, transmission, distribution. That is why you see, you have GENCO, TRANSCO. So, like that, the whole power sector wanted to be revamped. Under this, different companies will come, and these things will be privatized ultimately. Privatization of power should be done or can be done only through dividing the power department into different branches. Once you give the companies to different agencies, means smaller agencies in different areas, and that can be easily taken over by private sector. This is the one thing. Then a regulatory commission to fix tariff. World Bank is suggesting this because power structure, power tariff, all these things are political issues also, because during election period, people will be at the bargaining position, and the ruling classes or the governments will be say, okay, we will not hike. But after that, you will have all these things. So here, despite of whatever the political need or necessity or happenings are, the power tariff should be there. So that is why regulatory commission should be constituted. This was the one. Then World Bank gave $4,460 million as loan, and as a result, this AP Electricity Reforms Act was enacted in 1998 by Assembly, and because of that, an electricity regulatory commission came up. This regulatory commission will regulate the whole thing. Restructuring of electricity industry was done. Rationalization of generation, transmission, distribution has done, and participation of private sector is being facilitated. By this, you can purchase from private players too, according to your convenience. So we have transcos and gencos, different areas you have. But what was the fall of this, all these things? People were protesting against these reforms, power reforms. So this power tariff hike was being protested by the people, especially left parties took out a big procession against this power hike, and there was a tragic incident, means firing at Bashir Bagh firing on 28th August 2000, in which a few people were killed. There are different stories about the number. Some people, our government says it is 2 and the agitators say it is 6. So forget about the numbers, but Bashir Bagh firing, people were killed, many wounded in Bashir Bagh firing, because they were coming to assembly to protest against the power tariff hike. So this is the law and order issue, not just law and order, it is an attack on the rights of the people to protest. So Bashir Bagh firing in 2000 definitely had its toll or had impact on the next coming elections in 2004. Chandrababu was infamous because of this Bashir Bagh firing too. And these reforms, power reforms, impacted welfare schemes, subsidies. And who is at the receiving end? Small sector, medium sector, and the agriculture sector. So discoms came, thus power sector is completely changing its previous form. Then comes 𝗳𝗧𝗧 committee. The government always feels that the budget, major component of budget is spent on the salaries, pensions. So World Bank is giving some suggestions to restructure the whole administrative aspects of your salaries or personnel. So they have appointed a committee known as 𝗳𝗧𝗧 committee to review or assess the available positions in the government, identify redundant staff, means extra staff, they can be removed, and recommend for redeployment. This can be removed and they can be redeployed somewhere else. This is about the employees, present employees. And about the job recruitment, they say no recruitment should be done without permission. There should be some permissions and there should be some rationale for recruitment. You can't do easily. Means don't take many of the employees into the state. That is what they are saying. If you take many employees, you have to pay salaries and pensions too. So that is why pensions, a basic right of the human being, after so many years of work, they should live peacefully in their old age. But now pension scheme has gone. They came up with some alternative. This is part of your economic restructuring or World Bank reforms. So another suggestion of this 𝗳𝗧𝗧 committee was reduction of number of employees by 0.9% every year from 1996-97 to till the end of the 9th plan. Means every year you should reduce 1% of the employees in your total strength. How do you do? Take many methods like voluntary retirement. Voluntary retirement is a very interesting thing. Voluntary means actually it's forced voluntary, because you have to restructure. You are giving some incentives, enticing them to take retirement. You called it as, these people called it as golden handshake. That is VRS scheme, golden handshake. Means you will be paid lump sum amount if you go for PRS. You need not pay much bigger component of salary. Instead, you will pay at once. So that is what this 𝗳𝗧𝗧𝗧 committee was telling. And employment growth rate, you can see before 1996-97 it was 3.4, and after 96-97 it is less than 1%. It means definitely they have achieved what they wanted, means less number of jobs, less number of recruitment. So no new recruitment. Where are the recruitment is being done? You can see since then the phenomena is there are only 2 or 3 sectors where the recruitment is being done. One is police. State needs police always, because you need more and more police to maintain law and order and to curb dissent too, or to show that the state is strong. So one is police recruitment. Second is primary education. This is funded by World Bank. Then medical. This is also partly funded by, many schemes are funded by these World Bank and other institutions. So primary education and medical, this is, you have regular recruitment. That is why teacher recruitment and police recruitment, these 2 things are there always. Whether you have group 1, 2 or other recruitment, doesn't matter. So it is reducing the scope of number of people getting into the state government. So salaries component, if you can see, 2000 to 2001 it was 68.17. Now by 2002-2003 it has come down by 6%. 6% is not a small number. It's a huge difference. Thus, The 𝗂𝗽𝗱𝗁 committee recommendations are focusing on the service conditions, employment, pension and the life of the employees. And now you can see the fallout in different ways. So, next committee is Koneru Ramakrishna Rao committee, Koneru Ramakrishna Rao committee on higher education. Koneru Ramakrishna Rao is philosophy professor, he was occupying many other things, and this man has suggested reforms in higher education to serve globalization. That is why post 1990s, you have a monolithic structure in education. Every person will be writing 𝗪 and either doctor or engineer. Do you have any other subject because of this? This is known as monolithic. This is known as monoculture. You grow one cotton, you grow only one commercial crop because they are commercial crops. You study only one course because that yields or that gives you more salary. You lost the diversity in education because of this committee. We can see in every place, you see almost every second or third person is a BTech in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. Why? Everyone is a BTech without having a technical understanding or knowledge, and no one is becoming a technocrat and going into service sector as telecallers or small people who are into the whole chain of system in capitalism. And no one is becoming a technocrat, and BTech has become a simple degree. This is the symptom of this higher education committee's reforms. He said there is no need of the role of the state in higher education and private sector can handle it. When private sector can handle it, how the private sector will handle? It will handle through high prices. Means now you can buy education. You cannot choose what to study, but you can choose only if you have money. So higher education is the basic thing which has changed the understanding of society, because the grown-ups who are getting values or responsibility to the state is completely being privatized. So post-globalization or after these reforms, we can see a big change happening in the country. The entire generation, post-globalization generation, lost much of the social, ethical understanding which the pre-globalization generations had. Responsibility, understanding and the ethical concern for many things. Now it is single personal centric. Profit, big salary, big package and you live happily. And it is not the society. Education gives you morality. Education gives you concern for the society. And it is not simple getting the higher education or losing higher education. It is concerning the whole educational scenario with the society. So higher education reforms has ushered a very, very bad thing on the society, where the society is entering into a new phase where humans lost its touch as humans. That is why it is a conscious effort of globalization. Means any human should be an island. Physical island is okay. This is a psychological island. At cultural level, you should be an island. And if you are into privatization, education will lose all its ethical duty towards society. How much you pay, you get that. And you get huge perks or huge pay, you go and serve that institution. So, delinking of knowledge with education and making knowledge and education and salary linked. So, the entire concept has changed with this. That is why we can see the market-oriented education coming up in this period. And professional and applied courses get a boost. Market-oriented education, pharmacy, tourism and all these things. And Chandrababu, the biggest mascot of globalization, said, why you study history? Study economy or pharmacy or some job-oriented course. Studying history is mere waste, he said. And as he is a mascot of this globalization, he said, even agriculture is damn waste. And these are the things, the conceptual difference between the real society or a welfare society and a society run by Chandrababu Naidu likes under globalization. You can see a change. Then Subramanian Committee on PSUs came in 1995. That is again on PSUs, public sector units. Public sector is a responsibility of the state to run some needed industries and give employment and make goods available for the people. Now, PSUs are under loss. Some PSUs are under loss. Now this committee is suggesting some of the things. Don't waste public money on losing or loss-making PSUs. Handle it carefully, restructure it, or hand over it to the private people, or close it. Why you waste money on this? This is number one. Revamping management means you revamp the management, get best management, restructure the whole structure, less money, pump in as salaries, then financial discipline you should bring in, and rationalization of employees. Through that you can save. This is one recommendation of Subramanian Committee. And this privatization of PSUs or closure of PSUs is, on one side, if you see from economic angle, yes, it is true that we shouldn't waste money. But on the other angle, state, they left their responsibility in higher education. They left responsibility in industry. What responsibility does the state have? Is it just mere making laws or policing? Here, state is gradually leaving all the responsibilities to private people. This is one among them, that is PSUs. So, there are two stages. First stage was 1998 to 2001. Second stage, January 2002 to 2005. So, during this period, the impact of reforms on PSUs we can see in Andhra Pradesh. Since we are concerned with Telangana, all these things we are talking in terms of Telangana to Andhra Pradesh too. Whatever bad things are happening, like privatization of education, who are the sufferers? People of Andhra Pradesh is also sufferers because of Hyderabad-centric development. We'll talk about it. So, impact of reforms on PSUs, if we see, total institutions in AP 123 were subjected to these reforms. 40 corporations, 73 cooperatives, federations, government shareholding companies, that is 10. So, out of the 5,242 crore paid up capital of the government, 2,150 crore rupees are lost. There are 3.5 lakh employees. Now what you have to do with all these PSUs? You sell it or close it, or reduction of share or retrenchment. Thus, the PSUs are under fire now. We can see impact of reforms in PSUs. 13,321 people took VRS in the first phase, 21 in the second phase. Altogether, it is almost 50,000 we can see till some of the data is coming. We don't know exact, I don't remember, but almost at least 50,000 people got VRS. They are leaving the jobs by taking the voluntary retirement. Many important industries which were popular and serving the people and employment was given to the locals. Such industries, such institutions were closed, like Antargaon Cooperative Spinning Mill in Adilabad, Rajarajeshwara Cooperative Spinning Mill, Sircilla, Alvin Watches, it was a great industry from Hyderabad. Hyderabad Alvin is Nizam based industry, Nizam period they have started, and this Alvin Watches was sold to Titan. And many institutions were given to private, like Nizam Sugar Mills closed, 2-3 units were closed, Mumbojpalli closed, Jahrabad closed, Miryalaguda closed, and Bodhan finally it is also going into red in the latter stage. This is the first phase I am talking about. Then Lidcap, this is Leather Development Corporation, is getting raw deal. Then AP Agros, AP Fisheries, AP APCO is textile, AP Weavers Cooperative. Everything is going into red and privatized or closed. So, what was the impact on rural Telangana? We can see impact on rural Telangana. When we see all these things are crucial things. When power is not there, you don't get electricity to lift water from the borewells. Already there is a crisis, huge crisis in irrigation in Telangana, as we have studied about the injustice done to Telangana because of water sharing in Godavari and Krishna. So, you don't have irrigation water and you have to lift water, and in many of the districts, you don't have power to lift water from the borewells. So, what happens? All the crops will die or dry down. So, power crisis, irrigation crisis, loss of crop, damage of motors because of fluctuating current, and rural Telangana was suffering a huge loss in this period. Already tanks are in very bad shape. Globalization is for boosting the economy in urban-centric way. Rural economy you are completely neglecting. Tanks were very bad shape. There is a popular say like Gangala Laguna Cheruvulu Tambala Lainai. Gangala means it's a vessel with much depth. Tambala means a flat one. Gangala Laguna Cheruvulu Tambala Lainai. So all the tanks got dried up because they neglected. United Andhra Pradesh, Andhra ruling class neglected all the tanks in Telangana. Minor irrigation was completely under neglect. Now Mission Kakatiya is solving that problem, that issue. So before that we had all these things. So power sector privatized, so no subsidies, our power is not correct. Finally what is happening? Rural sector, agriculture sector is at its receiving end. They are the victims. And another thing is commercialization of agriculture is also part of your globalization. Whatever pays, whatever gives you more money, you will sow that. This commercialization is a big thing in Telangana. You see, cotton and some of the tobacco like things, all these are commercial crops. And cotton, many of the suicides in rural Telangana are happening because of cotton. Cotton farmers, why? You invest much. Because of the green revolution, you have all the bad effects of green revolution in India and even Telangana too. Now under globalization, all the odd circumstances, you are going for a commercial crop with huge investments, huge inputs. And finally, if the crop is not giving you the desired amount as in return, and they are indebted in lakhs to the money lenders or landlords, and they are committing suicide. So what is happening under globalization? All the sectors are being privatized without having any concern for the people's welfare. So rural area, commercialization of crop, see, any imperialist platform or any globalization aspect is nothing but monolithic or monoculture. They grow only one thing to reap benefits. That is why, like cotton, it is our BTech students. You grow cotton, you make money. You study BTech, you get a USA trip. That is why lots of, how many go to US or how many settle in IT, but lot of BTechs are getting their certificates as just mere thing. So here, the rural sector is at loss. Artisans, rural professionals means those who are doing all the low handicrafts or bamboo weaving or metal crafts, potters, everyone. You see, once the plastic has come in, potters lost their profession. Many of the people don't have pots in their home. Why? Because it is plastic or steel which has replaced the potter. Bamboo weaving gone. Only during marriage you can see bamboo things. Apart from that, you don't have bamboo at home. So what is happening? Artisans, rural professions lost their livelihood during this period. And as we have seen the growing regional disparities, corporatization of health is happening. Corporatization of health, all the investors, Andhra investors coming from Nelluru or coastal region having opened their corporate hospitals in Hyderabad. Except one group, all the rest corporate hospitals are coastal investments. And corporatization of health is definitely detrimental for the poor people's health. They can't afford. So this is one. Second thing is education. We see the people who are studying in corporate schools. Narayana Sri Chaitanya parallel intermediate board. Lakhs of students study in this, and competitiveness lost the basic concept of education under corporatization. People means the parents also got completely influenced under this corporatization and globalization. And we can see the whole culture has changed into post-globalization culture, understanding, polity, society, the social fabric is completely changing. So, coming to the last point about the disparities, employment, by the time of the discussion, that is the globalization phase, 1990s, according to some estimates, at least 1 lakh Andhras are in Hyderabad or Telangana in the name of employment. So there were many committees talking about, many judgments talking about, Girglani committee came and it was not implemented. So what is happening? Telangana, on one side you are at the receiving end because of the globalization, on the other side the people who are not locals are occupying the jobs. So thus the entire situation in Telangana is worsening during globalization period. So how do you conclude about globalization or this privatization and liberalization period? See, welfare state to corporate friendly state. We don't have anything to talk about welfare of the people. Then rights like employment. Employment is a right. Job is my right. You can't talk now. The right of the employment is seized by the globalization or this period, and it is the right of the employer to hire and fire. To hire you through contract or hire you through some agency, outsourcing. They don't have any obligation to retain you. So unemployment, and this is what you call insecurity in employment. And third one is they have destroyed the economic and social fabric of Telangana, both rural and urban. Economic we have discussed a lot. Social means economic aspects will have its bearing on the social and cultural life of the people. And our culture is mostly dominated by post-globalization imperialist culture. That is a tragedy. Means we are market oriented, our understanding is market oriented, our culture is market oriented, and this is one. Then service sector is prime and other sectors are gone. That is why if you see many people, when they say that we are into IT, they say it proudly. But when you are into agriculture, you can't say proudly. Who are you means I am in IT, they say proudly. Means service sector has become very important. And badly and very pathetic condition is service sector is dependent on the global economy. If a global burst is happening, this IT will burst. Once IT is burst, we will see a big crisis in the urban scenario too. So, dependent on the global economy, service sector is growing. Other sectors which are sustainable always, manufacturing, if manufacturing is growing, you will have great thing. If agriculture is growing, you will have good economy. But these sectors are not growing and service sector is growing. This is another malady or another symptom of this globalization aspect. And lastly, Hyderabad-centric development, that is becoming a big hindrance. See, everything is coming into Hyderabad. For Telangana, Hyderabad is a capital. For Andhra Pradesh, now it is the capital. So Hyderabad-centric development, people for coastal Andhra are coming and staying into Hyderabad because it's a capital. You can't stop it. And it is their right to. But claiming Hyderabad as the right of Andhras also is very bad. And that is why 𝗳𝗏𝗧 𝗚𝗃, to conclude, because this globalization begins with 𝗳𝗏𝗧 𝗚𝗃, and to be concluded with 𝗳𝗏𝗧 𝗚𝗃, he says that I have developed Hyderabad. He is not saying that I have developed Telangana. He says I have built Hyderabad, as if he is the 𝗂𝗽𝗱 king. Except that high-tech city, rest of the Hyderabad is destroyed. We lost all the big industries, all the PSUs in Hyderabad. And 𝗳𝗏𝗧 says, I built Hyderabad. We can understand the statement. He says, I built Hyderabad. He should say, I built Telangana. Then we would have accepted it. It is Hyderabad means the development is Hyderabad-centric. And Hyderabad-centric development from the coastal capital or coastal political power and inviting the global money or investments at the cost of the development of Telangana and Telangana people is the result of globalization, liberalization and privatization of 1990s.